For some time now, the National Pensioners Convention has understood that we need a Generations United campaign.
The media are constantly trying to say that older people are a burden on society and they're making things difficult for the young, so we have to cut across that.
I'm 67, I retired at 60, I might live till I'm 100. That means, I'm going to try anyway. That means I've got 40 years, but I'm in one age bracket. You know, if I fill in a form, it says 60 plus. Well, you know, frankly, Merv has often told me I'm old enough to be his daughter. I'm still old, I'm still a pensioner, I still draw my state pension, but there's a lot of difference between me and somebody in their 80s and 90s, and we shouldn't all be lumped together. I think young people do get it in the neck a lot, and I think there's a lot of unthinking, nasty language used about young people. I'd kind of like to hear from young people here what they, you know, do they stereotype older people? Do they think there are... Because I was at a bus stop the other day listening to a bunch of people going to the college, and one of them said, well, generally, I hate old people, but she was okay. And I just thought, what a strange thing to say. Can somebody here tell me why anyone would generally hate old people? It's a mystery.
I think with the age and population demographics, that's going to change. I think maybe the reason why young people can sometimes stereotype older people is that we realise that we are going to get our pensions a lot later. So I think there may be a bit of resentment, maybe a bit of jealousy, because, I mean, I don't know when I'm going to get my state pension.
Well, I think that we all, you know, the media does hurt our stereotypes, you know, it creates negative stereotypes. But if you look hard enough, then you are going to find smaller independent news sites which do print the good news and which do print positive stories about old people and positive stories about young people. And I think that, you know, if we're going to make a change about stereotypes, we need to bring these news outlets to the front of the public's attention, so the public is seeing what is already being written about them.
I think what needs to be done is have more of a mix of things, not always focus on the bad, or, you know, focus on the local and how people are contributing to their communities, because that's never seen enough in the media.
We got the Senior Citizens Forum in tonight, and it's good because all the kids are interacting with them and they don't see them as a threat at all. They're enjoying all the stories they're telling them, all the games that they've been playing, and they're just really relaxing and having fun. The best thing about this club is that there's so much going on, and the staff are really friendly, the kids are really friendly, and you sort of gain that trust and bond between kids and adults, and they trust you more, and they like have nice chats with you, and they feel comfortable around you. Like, you know, you're not just workers who look after them, you sort of like become their friends. I'd hate to see this place fall apart because we've obviously lost the funding that we needed to go towards the club, but I know that this club is so strong and it's got a lot of hearts and a lot of love in it, and I know that the funding will just keep going.
It's the idea that, you know, people are helping in smaller communities is never praised and is never on the news because it's not interesting enough. But I think if there just needs to be more of a balance between, you know, the good and the bad in the media.
You'll find out a lot of men now, same as in the job centre. Over the age of 60, you haven't got a chance of getting another job. But they won't employ a youngster to take on their job, or if they do, they'll get a tradesman, as I class, in his 60s, they'll get rid of him and employ 2 kids, give them half the money, and that was it.
I've heard it through from journalists and such, suggesting that older people are blocking the jobs for the younger people. I don't think that's true. I think that's a very convenient excuse which is being portrayed across the country. I think it's about job creation, and I think it's about creating the right jobs, which are not sort of hatchet half jobs where it doesn't follow through to anything. I think that's what it's about, and I think, as I said, I think that's just a very convenient excuse.
I don't blame any young person for not taking a 0 hours contract or one of these schemes where they get about £3 an hour. That's to do jobs that nobody else in the workforce will do, and they're just used as fodder. I don't blame them for not taking them. I mean, some of these jobs, they're going to learn absolutely nothing other than maybe getting up in the morning and going out to work. That's all they're going to learn.
Because I've done a degree, I can't do apprenticeships, I can't do a lot of stuff is ruled out for someone like myself.
Some people are saying that it was really easy for your generation to find jobs and employment and education. Would you agree with that? How was it
relatively so? It certainly wasn't easy. You had to work to make a good living, but it was far more possible than now. The fact that education costs so much now, does that affect how you're planning your life, and how do you feel about it?
Well, I think that the prospect of £40,000 in debt is very scary. A lot of people finish university and then don't have jobs to go to.
Young people of your age, what's your impression of the way they feel about the older generation? Do they look upon us with disfavour because they think we've had it easy, or are they understanding? Or
I think a lot of young people just don't have connections with older people, and they almost don't want to. I think that they just don't know they wouldn't know what it's like, but they don't want to build links with older people.
Is that because they consider them privileged, or just because they belong to a different generation?
I think it's somehow seen as us and them.
I was going to say about young people... Labour? Yeah, Labour. I don't really believe that, quite honestly.
It's a very strong statement, and you do hear it said. When you unpack it and unpick it, there often isn't much evidence behind it. It's simply quite an easy thing to trot out. Yeah. All young people are layabouts and don't want to work. No, we agreed that wasn't true, didn't we? We did. We thought that as in all sections of society, there will be people who won't want to work, who will be lazy, but doesn't apply to young people only, does it?
No, I just said that 40, 50
yes,
can be
absolutely,
layabouts.
yes. I don't like that term, layabout.
We agreed on pretty much everything, didn't we?
She thinks I'm a great guy.
Oh, not exactly.
Actually, people working together does start to change things. Maybe not immediately. I think if you start off with the genuine intention of, so there's a group of people out there that are going to cause a problem for me, i.e. I'm a young person, older people are going to be living longer, they're sort of blocking our pathway and their time's done and all those wrong assumptions. Actually, okay, let's work with the people that we feel are causing us the problems, because that's where the power is between those two groups of people working together or more. And I think that's where the power really lies, in that group motivation, that group dynamic. That will start to change.
It will be interesting to see whether we could do more work with Age UK and with the senior citizens to try and combat this negative stereotyping. Perhaps we could work as a youth parliament to produce something, the reverse, what not to use when you're talking about young people in the media. And we can send it to the newspapers, because we can make a difference fast on a local level. We could send this to the Gazette, to Somerset Gazette, and see whether they'll take it on board and see whether they'll adopt this.
Aikido is a defensive martial art, so the fact that we blend and we respect each other means that we take that into real life, and hopefully we act accordingly.
I was in Denmark in the 60s, and where we were docked, opposite us, they were building homes for young people. So it was the interphase stage, where when they left home, they had somewhere to go. It's cheap rent, subsidised rent, and then they moved on. And I thought, it's brilliant, that's the 1960s. Here we are now, and they're doing nothing at all for the younger people. I'm like, I'm all right. And my sons, when I said to Phil about it, it's all right for you, Dad. But they don't realise that when I pop my clogs, they're going to get money. They will buy a house, which I've recommended they do with the money, and they'll be in the same position. Someone will say to them exactly the same, but it's going to be, and unfortunate for the young people, inherited wealth which puts them on the ladder, and it shouldn't be. There should be a way of facilitating it so young people get a start in life and then move on. But there's nothing for you, and I really feel, that the governments, whatever government is, has let you down.
How long do you live here then, Mitch?
Well, it was about 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
No insulation, no attic, it's a flat roof. That roof there
Used to get flooded, did
used
it?
to get flooded,
Yeah.
and that flat the downstairs flat had black mould everywhere.
Why did they close it up, do you know, or?
Well, Dad got so fed up of it being so cold.
Yeah. Once you come out, then they've never done anything after.
No.
Well, that's right then, eh? But I mean, really, it's still quite a substantial building, isn't it? Somebody with a bit of sense, I think, could have made some decent flats out
They
of
would have
it.
been lovely flats, they were massive.
Yeah, I could see
It's
that.
just, they were damp, they were cold, single glazing.
Yeah.
My bedroom window didn't shut, bearing in mind my bedroom was at the front.
Yeah.
3 stories up.
As you say, with
The whole week of fair, my room smelled of candy floss.
Oh, yeah.
Could not get the smell out. Basically, when everybody got kicked out, they were going to turn them into luxury flats. And then health organisations and places like that came in and were like, no, they're condemned.
Why do you think there is an increase in homelessness at the moment?
Probably because it is so expensive to live anywhere. And you waiting list for a council place is a ridiculous amount of time.
What do you think the chances are of young people buying a house today?
I think it's very, very difficult. I've got a son and daughter-in-law, both in good jobs. One's a GP, the other's in IT, and they're struggling to pay back their debts from becoming a doctor to actually get on the ladder. Now, if they're struggling, I think it's almost impossible for many people.
Because obviously, if you're like 18, you have a lower paid job, you're not going to be able to afford a high priced house or flat.
Are you any of you renting? No.
No.
You're living with
Parents.
But it's going to be a big step, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you go from that area to, how do you feel about that?
I'm not
I think
close to it yet, so
I think it's going to be difficult to pay for.
Yeah.
It will ultimately have to go back to the government, but I think everyone has a responsibility for helping.
What's your opinion on it and the way forward? Do you see a future for yourselves? Is it becoming worse?
I don't have much hope of moving out from my parents' house anytime soon.
Yeah, everything is a lot more unsure now. It's sort of like you can go to uni, but that doesn't guarantee your future at all.
No.
You could, and you spend so much money doing the uni thing and, working to get a job. That's the reason we all, do uni, to get a good job, a stable job, and you come out of it and sometimes there's no reward, there's no, nothing is guaranteed, and it makes everything sort of really shaky and makes a lot of worry for young people as well, because they don't know where to turn to next. And yeah, that's a huge problem with like housing and even paying the bills, buying food for yourself to sustain and actually to live a life. It's a lot harder now.
I was looking at this map and it showed all the affordable houses in the country. So imagine a picture of Great Britain. Now, you're not allowed to live in the south. You're not allowed to live anywhere in mainland Britain apart from Scotland and Wales. Just thought that's brilliant, isn't it? And it's about maybe that's why there's a little bit of resentment for young people, possibly. Maybe why there's some negative stereotyping.
To me, it's all very simple, all this, whether it's housing, jobs, whatever. You've got to remember, we live in a society that is driven by the market. So if the market makes life tough for you, that's just unfortunate. You're going with the market. The majority is prepared to go with that market, then the minority are going to suffer. So, that's what drives everything. And to me, we've got to move away from this idea of the market. Think more about people, otherwise things will get much worse.
How much is a bus fare?
£3.50 a single.
Single?
It's cost me 35 quid a week to get to and from work.
Just to go to work?
Yeah, just to go to work. Majority of the time, bus is either late or because it's raining and I'm sat in here, I don't get enough time to get there.
Of course, I'm lucky I got me bus pass. But really then, if they charge that much, it nearly pays, say, if you had a car, like say 2 people, you'd be travelling cheaper, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And that's just me getting to work.
Yeah.
That's without me seeing humans.
That's right, you get soaking wet and freezing cold.
Yeah, in the meantime.
Yeah. What time's the last bus from here? Of an evening?
4:30.
And I don't expect there's one on a Sunday at all, is there?
No.
So how do you manage to get where you want to go then?
Learning to drive.
Oh, I see. I say, you want to probably get Daddy's taxi out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Bus is coming.
Oh, right.
I would be very upset if they discontinued the concessionary travel for the elderly and disabled, because it makes a huge difference to our lives. We use public transport at least 3 or 4 times a week, and it would be quite a thing out of our money as a widow and a disabled person if we lost that concession. So it is an important part of our life to keep us independent and active.
And so the biggest challenge is literally getting bodies on the buses, getting the numbers of people. If you travel in a Bristol or a Plymouth or an Exeter, it's dead easy. There's lots and lots of houses. In this area there's not, and that's the biggest challenge, just trying to make the numbers add up.
You know what's gone wrong, don't you? I mean, buses used to be properly regulated, and you can't run a bus service by just having all these different bus companies fighting it out. Because you know what? On some routes, you've got 2 or 3 buses following each other.
Yeah.
And then you get a thing like this where there's...
It's all profit, yeah.
It's terrible. You can't,
And the way it's going, it's going to get worse.
I think so.
Because deregulation, as soon as that come in, opened a whole can of worms, didn't it?
Day before my birthday, I'm going to a meeting about a local National Health Service, to fight to keep it going, Yeah. And I'm for all for things like that, because the young people need it, and so do the elderly,
Yeah, we all do. So I think the NHS is really valuable for young people. So we have a lot of problems that need addressing. I think it's really important that we have a service that are going to be there to support us and to help us with these issues that we're going to have. So there shouldn't be a price on healthcare.
But there is talk about them privatising it,
Which I don't agree
Which I
with.
don't agree
I
with,
don't
like,
agree
you know.
with either.
Oh.
So students, in my experience, I'm a student.
Yeah.
For me to pay lots of money on healthcare bills, it just wouldn't be possible
Well,
for me.
no, it wouldn't be. I mean, I get free dental care and glasses, like, you know, and eye tests, like.
What do you lot think of mental health? My sister had to get somebody to a hospital and then into care, and she had to put them 120 miles away from where they were. And that was in Worcestershire. The nearest place was London, and it was private.
You know, mental health issues affect people from across the age spectrum. You know, it just affects everyone. You know, 1 in 3 people will experience depression in their lives. That's not 1 in 3 under 16s. That's 1 in 3 people. So I think issues like mental health are things which unite, you know, unite us, unite the old people and young people and the people in the middle. And it's something that we should really work to change.
Now, bed blocking is when older people particularly go through the system of the NHS, get seen to, and at the end of the day, there's nowhere to go after the hospital. This is not brought about by the NHS, who in a lot of cases do a wonderful job. It's brought about by councils and the government cutting funds. So what happens is, you have your treatment, ready to go out, and you cannot. And then the press says pensioners are bed blocking the NHS. This is all bad and adverse publicity. And what worries me, if this continues, it's not my problem, it's going to be my son's and my grandchildren's problem. And this is not right. We've got to leave a healthy and stable NHS to our children.
Well, personally, I think we ought to pay more in national insurance contributions or taxes or something like that. It's all right to keep on saying, oh, we've got to cut taxes, but it's the taxes that are paying for all our health and wealth.
The 2014 Scottish referendum, 16-year-olds were allowed to vote, and we saw 75% turnout for 16 to 17-year-olds. And it's absolutely right, if you are given the vote, you should actually go out and vote. And we saw with 16 and 17-year-olds, when they were properly engaged with politics, that they did go out and vote. So I think there's a lot about the behind-the-scenes work, behind explaining why it's important to vote. I think you will see more young people voting if that happens.
Being in year 10, we've only just started learning about politics. In year 7, 8 and 9, what you do is stuff about, you know, PSHE, physical education, in citizenship, which should really be more about political awareness.
If you only ever experienced my school, you wouldn't even know we lived in a democracy. There's nothing. We don't learn about the voting system, we don't learn about courts, we don't learn about laws. We don't, you know, no one tells us what rights we have as a 16-year-old. You know, I only know what rights I have because I've actively gone out and searched for them, but people don't, in my age, they don't know that they can marry when they're 16 because we don't have political education in our school at all.
As an adult and as a grandparent or a parent, you kind of want to protect your young people. As a parent myself and a grandparent, I want to protect and nurture, and you don't want them faced with difficult choices, and if you can protect them from that. But I'm not sure that that's the right way, because actually, you know, it is the same for over 18s.
I mean, let's be fair, I know a lot of people in their 50s haven't got a clue whether they're coming or going, so don't let's worry about ages. I mean, this is a thing which comes with experience.
What the difference is obviously nowadays is the way we dress. I used to have my hair rinsed pink when I was about your age, but back comb it up, and I said walking across the centre, people was like that, looked as though I had a candy floss on top of my head. But the way you dress and everything is not much, really, years ago we had the miniskirt. They were a lot shorter. Also, as I said, we never had the piercings, nor the tattoos so much. There's more tattoos and piercings nowadays, but really when you look at it, you still think the same, if you know what I mean. There's not an awful lot of difference in a way.
The recent European referendum provided us with yet another example of the media and the establishment trying to stereotype and divide generations. It makes us really angry.
We made this film to show that young and old have more things that unite us than divide us. We want a fair and just society, and we're going to fight together to get one. And by the way, I'm 22 and I voted to leave.
As a baby boomer and a pensioner, I voted to stay in Europe.
Give it to